Um, this is a closed meeting, and I always ask the door to be closed at the back. So my name is Father Christians. I'm chairperson of Scopa. Next to me is Mr. Dustin Davids. I'm gonna give over to the members to introduce themselves, and then the AG. I think we'll do the department first, and then also the audit committee, and then we'll go over to the authority, legal authority, and then the audit committee. I think that's the best way to do it. Members, over to you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, and good afternoon to the professionals. I'm an alternate member, and I'm standing in for Member Bombo. I am Member Boyson. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. My name is Noko Masipa. I am the alternate on this portfolio. I'm standing in for Honorable Van Wyk. And good morning to AG and audit team. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Johnson, permanent member of Scopa.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. My name is Benson, a member of Standing Committee for Police Oversight and Community Safety. Thank you.
Introductions.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon, members. I'm Gina Schultz, and I was the audit senior on the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety from the AG.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, honorable members. My name is Lizo Nzamela. I'm here presenting on Western Cape Liquor Authority. Excuse my voice, I'm fluish. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and two members. I'm Gilbert Lawrence. I'm Chairperson of the Audit Committee.
Good afternoon, members and Chairperson. My name is Tebo Matlomi. I'm from the Auditor General Office. Thank you.
Afternoon, Chairperson and members. I'm Crystal Abdal, a member of the Audit Committee at the Western Cape Liquor Authority.
Dr. Lawrence, you're doing the department, the audit committee department. Thank you. So we're going to do it like that. We're going to do the AG and then AG and then the audit committee, and then we're going to do the legal authority like that. Okay. So after each presentation, the members then can ask some questions. But there's members on the online system. Let me just give them opportunity to introduce themselves. Members on the online system.
Good afternoon, Thank you very much, Chair. I'm Benedicta van Minnen, and I am a permanent member of the committee and the chair of Community Police Oversight and Community Safety. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. My name is Pat Lecker, and I'm a permanent member to the Scopa Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we got an apology from member Basil Petrus. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. I see that the presentation that we've prepared is on the screen. I just want to check with everyone if it's okay if I skip the first few slides because I believe that has been covered. And then I'll start on slide number 4, which is basically the summary of our key messages. So we have indicated that the department is commended for maintaining the clean audit outcome. For the past few years, that means that they were financially unqualified with no material findings on predetermined objectives and compliance with laws and regulations. What it basically means is that they've got a strong
What is your, what must
Good afternoon. We're going to start. Welcome, everybody. My name is Ferlin Christians. I'm the chairperson of SCOPA. I'm going to give next to me is Mr. Dustin Davids, a procedural officer. I'm going to give the members opportunity to introduce themselves, then the members online. Then I'm going to give the minister and OTG for introductions and introductory remarks, and then I'll give the rules of engagement for this meeting. So over to you, members.
Thank you, Chairperson. And for the record, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, I'm Member Boyson, a member of this committee.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Chairperson, and good afternoon to everyone. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm standing in for Honorable Leon van Wyk. I'm an alternate on this portfolio committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Peter Johnson, permanent member of SCOPA.
The members online.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Pat Lecker. I'm a permanent member to this committee and an alternate to the Department of Police Oversight. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members. Good afternoon, Department. My name is Noel Constable, and I'm an alternate member standing in for Member Petrus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Introductions, Minister and the HOD.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members. I'm Anne Marie.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, members. Hilton Arendse, acting HOD.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, members. Mohammed Friesler, CFO and Director of Finance.
Good afternoon, members. Perfect Noble, Director at the Budgets.
Good afternoon, members. I'm Oli Swangongwa, the acting CFO at the Liquor Authority.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Crystal Abdal, Audit Committee member and board member.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. I'm Dr. Grootboom, the Chairperson of the Liquor Board. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members and Chair. Marvin Jackson, Western Cape Liquor Authority.
Good afternoon, Chair, members and colleagues. I'm Kim Seal. I'm from the Western Cape Police Ombudsman's Office.
Afternoon, colleagues. It's Teresha Hanekom from the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members. Fred Watkins, Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety.
Good afternoon, Chair. Marazak Kaur from the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety.
Good afternoon, Chair, honorable members, Peggy Similane, Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety.
Good afternoon, Chair, members and colleagues. Anne-Marie Marshall, Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety.
Good afternoon, Chair, members and colleagues. Gillian Lutz from the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and colleagues. My name is Vareshni Chapman from the Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety.
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda Dissel, also from POX. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ansaf Mohammed, Chair, members, Director Strategic Services and Communications, POX.
That's everybody. Thank you very much. Minister, I'm going to give you opportunity to do introductory remarks and the HOD, and then then I'll say where we're going to start. Just to hear from you, must we start with the department first and then the Liquor Authority? What do you want? Okay, then we'll do the department first. So are you going to go with introduction for both, or do we do it separate? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. No, I'm not going to have a long introduction. I just want to say thank you for having us, and I'm looking forward to the deliberations with the SCOPA. Thanks.
I'll take my cue from our Minister. Thank you for having us, Chairperson. We're looking forward to this deliberation, and just thank you to the team for all the hard work that they've put in to get the report in the state that it is. Thanks.
Mr. George attended his apology to the Liquor Board. Okay, thank you. Members, we're going to do page C, part C, and governance for the department, 89 to 108. Then I'm going to allow for questions. Then we're going to do part E of the department, 153 to 160, and then have questions. And then part F, 160 to 230 questions. Remember, 2 questions per member, 3 members at a time, and then 1 question for a follow-up. If you do all the questions, members, I need the page number so that the department know where you're at, and then we will proceed. So, members, we're going to do, first of all, part C, the governance for the department, 89 to 108. Members, over to you. Member Masipa, you can ask.
Oh, I thought it's page C. Yeah? I was just making sure that we are on page C, all of us. So I'm on part C, page 92. Chairperson, through you, the issue that I'm raising is related to the risk, the limited ability of the department to influence the allocation of policing and resources and so forth. And earlier we just spoke about the, what do you call that? What page is that again? The issue of the combined assurance framework. The combined assurance framework put quite a very clear, distinctive area that you are looking at in order to really manage and control your focus areas, which are the 3 levels. So the question is really, Chair, is there a way that this 3 areas can be expanded just a little bit in terms of really ensuring that there is a clear distinction between you and SAPS, what SAPS is doing and what you do? And I know that it's being picked up as a risk. So the assurance is on page 106. I know we're not dealing with 106, but I mean, it's part of the dealing. But the risk is obviously outlined here. My question really is there a way that you can maybe expand your assurance? Because unlike other departments of the Western Cape, your role obviously is totally different. And sometimes the citizens of the Western Cape tend to think that you are responsible for policing in the Western Cape, whereas your role is just to provide an oversight. And we had an issue of item that was not met in terms of your APP. And this is an issue that relates to not receiving the stats from SAPS, because obviously you don't have control over it, but you have got it as your, your program or your focus area in terms of achieving that particular target. So that's really the question is there a way that you can expand your, instead of just having it as a standard that is really applicable to all departments in the Western Cape, having your focus area slightly different to the rest of the Western Cape to ensure that your assurance area, are clearly, are very clear with regards to your role as a department in the Western Cape. Thanks, Chair.
Let me just give Member Pat Lecker, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My first question, Chair, is on page 91. 1, 2, 3. Page 91, the 4th paragraph. As you would have noticed, Chair, that page 91 talks of the department's program, which intends speak to a target that could not be met due to the fact that In the year under review, the program was denied access to a crime administration system, dockets by SAPS, and caused a non-achievement of a planned APP target. And my first question, Chair, would be, if you're looking at the intention and the reasons for audit is to ensure that everything that the department is supposed to be doing in terms of its own performance is something that is within the department's reach. And I want to understand, was there a thinking? Because if you're looking at a CAS system, you're talking of something that the department does not even have access to, nor the Metro Police or the LEAP officers. And I want to understand, what were the reasoning for setting up a target that would depend on another sphere of governance in terms of the department to ensure it performs its responsibilities as per its own determined plans and outcomes. Two, Chair, I want to ask in paragraph 3. Paragraph 3, Chair, talks of a double up strategy, which has seen decreases in murder in most deployment areas. And in the second quarter, crime statistics showed a decrease in murder in the Western Cape. And I first want to raise my thinking around that. Are we talking about the Western Cape, or we are talking of identified murder capitals? And out of those identified murder capitals that maybe would have identified based on the previous crime statistics, did we see and be able to zoom in and say probably in Harare or Makassar, where there was a murder capital, this has been reduced, instead of speaking holistically as a Western Cape, because we need to be in a position where we are saying we have deployed so much LEAP officers as a double up strategy, and as a result in Makassar and in Strand area, there has been a decrease. So I want to understand exactly, are we talking of the Western Cape, or there are specific stations where we can safely say there has been a decrease? Two, or 2.B in that question would be, if we have a doubled up strategy, what did we have initially and we doubled it up with what? If you had 2 LEAP officers deployed in Makassar and 1 in Strand and 1 in Nomzamo, you doubled it up. So what is the strength currently in those specific stations? Because I think in order for us to be able to say we are making progress, we would be saying these are the numbers that we deployed as per our APP. So I thought I must have those first 2 questions, and I'll probably come back with follow-ups. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I just want to, I just want to elaborate on what page 92, the risk limited ability of the department to influence the allocation of the police resources in the Western Cape. Now, the department sends in the policing needs and priorities. Surely, you know, that must count for something. You put in a lot of work, and then it means resources must be allocated. So just give us, you know, how does it work? Because if you cannot influence the resources, I mean, you know, why do you send in a policing needs and priorities list and to go through all that drama, and then you don't get any satisfaction? Just some elaboration on that. Minister, you can chip in whenever. I'll give to the HOD, but if you need to come in, you can come in. Thank you very much. HOD, Minister.
I just want to mention thank you, Chair, sorry. What I would like to mention is that we do have a good relationship with our national minister at the moment, Professor Kachalia. And that helps a lot for us to discuss the policing needs of the Western Cape, and that we want some expansion of powers. I'm not talking about devolution, the expansion of some investigation and also crime intelligence power to municipal level. So we had an open discussion about that, and that's all that I want to say from my side. Yeah.
Chair, I'll farm out some of the questions, but I just need clarity on the members' first point in terms of when it says our assurance role. If you can just expand on that, what do you mean by our assurance role specifically? Before I respond to the rest of the question, Chair.
Member Masipa, you know, we work through the chair. Member Masipa, over to you. Can you just expand on that?
Through you, Chair. Where's the assurance? Is it on 106? So in your assurance, you're quite clear that your first line is obviously as a management, obviously requiring land management to maintain effective internal control and execute whatever, you know. And then you've got your second line of control and so forth. But your line of control, obviously, you know, from where I sit, I understand it. But from the citizen's point of view, in terms of your line of control in managing the crime issues, you know, your assurances that you are providing, you know, isn't there a way that the wording can really just reflect that, you know, that the buck does not stop with you as a department, but with subs in terms of their role of solving the crime issues? Because the blame now and again is on the Western Cape not being able to solve the crime issues. So that's the point I'm trying to make. And here you outline it in the risk, but could it be proactively, you know, noted in terms of your role as a department, rather than just be noted as a risk element, but be part of the, you know, the initial, call it your assurance around this particular risk issue? I don't know. I hope I'm clear now.
Thank you very much, HOD.
Thanks, Chair. And thanks for that clarification. Chair, I'm comfortable, and I'll take that recommendation on board, and we'll have a discussion within our department to see how we can give effect to the recommendation that's been made. Can I then ask Amanda to speak to the PNP point that was made by the chairperson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the question is, why do the PNP, if it used a lot of resources and has no impact? Chair, I think that we're not saying that it has no impact, and certainly it is an important report because it does analyze the state of policing and the allocation of resources and trends in policing and law enforcement over time. So it enables us to track what has changed and what has not changed. What we have implemented for this particular year, this calendar year, this financial year, is we will be having an advocacy program. We will be meeting with the SAPs and the Western Cape government departments and the City of Cape Town to take up some of our recommendations. But ultimately, of course, the final decisions around the allocation of policing resources doesn't lie with the Western Cape government, but outside of our resources. So we do our best to persuade them. Thanks.
Just telling cheek, if one listen to the testimony of Chinum Konazi, the allocation of resources doesn't even reside at provincial level, it's made at a national level in terms of his comments that he's made. Chair, I am going to ask Becky to respond to the point of the information that we have not received from SAPS, and then Razak and Sid, if you can speak to the double up strategy.
Thank you, Chair. The question around underachievement of the indicator on the court watching brief and our setting the indicator as we have done, it was informed by our understanding that the Department of Community Safety has a mandate, constitutional mandate over SAPS. The work of the department rotates by and large oversight over the South African Police Service. So hence our indicator in relation to oversight will inevitably relate to what we can do with SAPS and information that we can access with SAPS. Now, Chair, the information or the data that we have requested and we did not receive for this particular financial year was data that we have received before. And hence, there wasn't any inclination from the owner side to foresee that there will be a change, given the fact that this is what we've been doing in the past. Thanks.
Thanks, Speaker. Chairperson. And then just want to, before Razak comes in, Member Lekker made the point that we say that in the second quarter, crime statistics show a decrease in the murder rate in the Western Cape. But there's a full stop after the first sentence, or the second last sentence, where we say, we speak about the successes of LEAP double-up strategy, which has seen decreases in most deployment areas. It's 5 out of the 6 deployment areas. And then we say in the second quarter, that's a general statement. So we didn't say that because of the double-up, it has decreased crime predominantly, but there are specific 6 areas. I will allow Razak to just comment on the double-up strategy and the areas that we move from and to the areas that we've reduced it to. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. The double-up deployment strategy resulted from us reviewing in the previous financial year, where we find our resources are spread quite thinly around the 13 stations that we initially deployed in LEAP. And so we didn't have the desired impact. And when we did the review indicated that we should maybe focus on more focused deployment strategy, and so it increased the number of officers to particular areas. That consequentially meant that we had to reduce the number of areas, and we looked at what is the most affected areas, what is the top murder stations that we wanted to look at based on the statistics. And we had 6 areas that we identified, which was Kailicha, Philippi, Nyanga, Cooks, Mitchells Plain, and Delft. And we start looking at them much more intensely, given that they were some of the highest murders areas consistently in the province. That means we were able then to increase our numbers from, for instance, an example in Nyanga and the Philippines, from 60 to 120 in terms of the deployment, and that's why we called it a double-up deployment strategy and a more focused visible policing strategy jointly with SAPS and LEAP and the Metro forces together. We've consistently seen in the last period, when we started to review reductions in crime in some of those areas, particularly like Kailicha and Philippi East and Nyanga, have started to show that this developing deployment strategy is starting to bear effect. I think we had some of the highest reductions in areas like Nyanga, that historically was always a high murder rate. Thank you.
Can I just ask, Member Lekker, ask double up from what? So I think you had 100 before. Just give us double up from what?
Double up from 60 to 120 per area, basically.
So we've got that. It's double up from 60 to 120. Can we move on, members, to the next questions? Is there follow-up on those questions? No follow-ups? Can we move to the next?
Yes, there is a follow-up.
Member Lekker?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Chair, my follow-up again is on page 91, where we spoke of the indicator as well as setting up the KPAs. And I think there, Chair, I want to get an understanding whether the department thinks an indicator where the functioning of that specific indicator will be based on the feeling of those or on their own, it will be based on their attitude at a particular moment, because from what we're getting, the response is that indicator was there because the information that we would have wanted, we received it before. We were not aware that we will not get it. So I want to understand if the indicator depends on the mood of a particular department. Is that an indicator that we can set so that we can say, in terms of our strategies as government, this is possible, it can be achieved, there would be no hindrances in the near future? And therefore, my question, Chair, as I ask, is it safe enough to keep such an indicator where it will be based on whether you're getting access to information or not? Thank you.
HOD.
Speaking.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the indicator is not necessarily based on the mood of the South African Police Service. As I have indicated before, Chair, that the constitutional mandate of the department necessitate that the Department of Community Safety, in its performance of police oversight, will go to SAPS and access any document in pursuit of the work that the department has to do. So in that context, Chair, it is not necessarily dependent on mood. And Chair, I must indicate that the matter has been resolved in terms of the interpretation. But for going forward, Chair, in the 2025-26 financial year, the indicator has been amended in the APP because at the time when the APP was compiled, it was before the matter was resolved to our satisfaction. Thanks.
Thank you. So the indicator is amended so that you don't have the same problem going forward, so that we'll meet the indicator. That is what we're saying. Thank you very much. Can we move on to the
Just
next
a quick
section,
one,
Member
Chair.
Lecker? Yes,
A
Member
quick
Lecker?
one. If we're told, Chair, the indicator has been amended, are we now saying there's going to be a new indicator, or what's going to happen?
HOD.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I must indicate that the indicator that has been amended is related to what has been there, in the sense that the former indicator that we had, it related to us accessing the SAPS case docket, peruse them, extract data, analyze the data, draw conclusion on the basis of what we extract from the case docket. Now, the amendment, it is such that we will be accessing that information or part of it from the court. But given the fact that the Chair, I have indicated that this matter has been resolved, so we are of the opinion, Chair, that we will have full access to the cases that we wanted to have access to, which is cases that have been withdrawn and cases that have been closed. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to move on from that question. Is there any other questions on this section, on this part C? Member Masipa, over to you.
It's not a question, Chair, but I just want to say really to commend the department on achieving the 17th clean audit. Really, it's commendable, and well done, Minister, HOD, and the department. Well done, fantastic work.
Okay, we're going to move on to part E. Yes, Member Lecker?
Before, Chair, I have one, page 97, still in part C. Can I go on?
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. I want to check page 97, where we talk of the closure of drug dens. I want to check that on its own, Chairperson. I think it's part of the information that was requested, and it dawns me to ask whether in terms of the drug houses that have been closed for the 2024-2025 financial year, in terms of the protocol and timelines, has there been any work done on that? And specifically talking to whether there is an intention to set up a target in terms of performances, because if you're looking at the drug dens, they are in the main municipal houses or houses that belongs to individuals, and there's a process that must be undertaken with the municipalities. So I just want to check when it comes to that specific one. Thank
We
you.
must be, yeah, thank you. We must be very careful now because this was done by the Standing Committee of Community Safety and Police Oversight. So this was their recommendations on the 27th of August 2024. So that was part of them. So you know, they've got a specific role and we've got a specific role. But you can answer, but I mean, you know, we must be careful that we don't trend on another standing committee's mandate. No, member. That is, what do you say, member?
I'm saying it's information.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's not our, it's not, this is definitely portfolio committee and this gave it that. So I'm going to give the HOD opportunity, but we're not going to elaborate on that. Thank you.
Chairperson, we cautious not to put indicators in the annual performance plan that we're not in control of. The members said that it requires SAPS and the city to make those decisions. So based on the members' first recommendation, I'm just applying that recommendation in this case.
Okay, we're going to park it there. Thank you for that answer. We're going to park it there. Is there any questions on Part C? We will then move to Part E. Members, open for Part E. Part E, then we have 153 to 160. Members, over to you.
Can you give me 2 minutes? 153 to 160, ne?
153 to 160. If there's, I'll just jump quickly with irregular 153 irregular expenditure. If you can just explain. There's a lot of explanations, but just give us some details of expenditure confirmed and expenditure condoned. And then we have details of irregular expenditure on page 154. I think.
Can I come in?
Yes, I've got 2 questions. Member Maleka can go.
Thank you, Chairperson. My first question, Chair, is exactly where you have cited, but let me be specific on page 155. I think it's I, where it talks to details of disciplinary or criminal steps taken as a result of the irregular expenditure. I want to check, Chairperson, because is this in relation to what we see where there's mentioning of 3 investigations that are currently, where initially there was 16, which was then reduced to 3. Are we talking about the same issue now? And if so, can we get the details? Also, where we're talking about where there was monies that were recoverable, I think that's 1.2A. 1.2A, less fruitless and wasteful expenditure recoverable, which is about for 2025, 3 as well. Can we get an explanation there as to what exactly happened, and that there was an agreement entered into? I would speak from the fact that I was not part of the first meeting that took place, and therefore can we get information and an explanation as to exactly what happened there? Thank you.
Thank you. HOD, over to you. Member Masipa, you must just raise like that. I can't see you. Member Masipa.
Apologies, Chair. Thank you very much. My question really relates to your question, Chair, with regards to irregular expenditure. If the department maybe can just indicate where there was no value for money with regards to irregular expenditure, because irregular expenditure really tell 2 stories. Sometimes there's value for money and sometimes there was no value for money, because sometimes it's the irregular expenditure because things had to be done, but it has to be done outside the framework of the supply chain management regulations. If you can explain that. But also just want to comment on page 159 that you managed to pay almost every invoice within 30 days or a great period, just one invoice that was not paid within 30 days. What are some of the best practices, that are making you really to do so well in terms of paying your invoice within 30 days? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members. Is that it? HOD, over to you.
Now I have the honor to pass it over to the CFO.
Thank you, HOD, through yourself, Chair. So yes, members, the irregular expenditure arose largely as from COMAFs that the AG raised against the department during the annual audit of regularity audit of the department. There's there's, as you can see, case 1 is a COMAF. Case 2 also relates to a COMAF, even though it's not written there. Case 03 is a COMAF 5 of the last audit, the previous year's audit. 4 is also COMAF, and as you can see, the list goes on. So without going into too much detail, these are all supply chain COMAFs. The findings related to evaluation criteria when sending out the requests for manual quotations, and that's usually in the under 10,000 rand procurement category. The regulations that we were following was not strict enough in terms of the auditor's findings. So they raised matters such as the minimum number of days which the advertisement must be out, making sure that the evaluation criteria is included in the advertisement, and then also that if you do send out even advertisements for manual quotations, then you must make sure that the supplies is on the supplier database of WCG. So the quantum, the amount that is raised in terms of irregular expenditure in this instance relates to all of the batches that they have then not accumulated, that they counted to enable them to get to that amount. The expenditure was condoned. There is still some that's still outstanding as at year end, as you can see, but it was condoned by HOD in a group disciplinary or a session where there was no malicious intent determined. So in terms of value for money or non-value for money, there was no there was no harm done to the department in terms of those regulations being not followed to the T as it was. So that's it on there. In terms of fruitless and wasteful expenditure on page 155, this expenditure generally arises either because people would miss their flights, and when we book flights, especially when you're leaving, we don't make it a flexible ticket purely because of the cost implication. And if you miss your flight, then there's a penalty then to the department for that order. It could be that, or the other instances in which it arises is as well when people arrive at accommodation and they find it not suitable, or it's not the establishment is closed because they arrived too late, and then we lose that booking and we have to make a new booking. But as you can see, the debt was raised against the individual or individuals in this case, and it was raised as a debt, and it is being recovered, or it has been fully recoverable. Sorry, I'm just getting confirmation that it was a flight ticket where the person arrived late at the airport for the flight. Thank you. And then the 30 days payment. I'm proud to announce that even in the Auditors General's that combined with following up on orders that we know were issued for which no invoices has been received yet, has largely, resulted in us being able to do a turnaround of 5 days for creditor payments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm going to give you now as a follow-up, member. Okay, go, because I've got another question, but you can go, member.
Thanks for that answer. It's not a follow-up. It's on page 158. I see that section D, other material losses not recoverable or written off, that your salary overpayment reduced from 61 to 0. What do you attribute that to? And what was the 61, that you had, is it 61,000 that you had, what cost you that high amount, and you're reducing it to 0? What measures have you put in place in that regard? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I just want to go to the same page 158, and that is B. What is it? This major, and what is the nature of the loss? When we look at 158 B. Thank you. There's no other questions. Thank you very much, HOD.
Chairperson Mohammed.
Thank you through yourself, Chairperson. So the salary overpayment is usually when staff leave or when they get transferred to another department. Usually if it's within the province, we can do an interdepartmental transfer, but if it's to another level or sphere of government and the paperwork doesn't get processed quickly enough, then we lose contact with that person in terms of how to trace them in order to recover the funds. So salary overpayment would generally be in those instances, and on the V major is when we have accidents with our GMT vehicles. So those are instances when staff go out and they have some type of altercation and there's damage to the vehicle, and we send it generally to the state attorney, and if the state attorney determines that the staff member has not lost cover of the state through his actions in terms of negligence, then that would then be a V major write-off of a material loss. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. We're going to move to part F. Is there questions on part F, members?
What
Member
page is
Lecker, Member Lecker, we on 162 to the end of the book 230, part F of the department. Member Lecker.
Okay. No, thank you, Chairperson. What is this now? Okay, I want to check, Chairperson, on page 165, Chairperson. On page 165 on the okay, the indicator that we're talking to about the watching brief, maybe because there's been an explanation that has been given, just a quick one to say what may probably be the timelines in terms of accessing the information that we will be getting from court. What will be those timelines, and won't they be of delay? Because we would now be changing, because of the amendment, we get the information directly from the court pending whether the matter has been withdrawn or finalized. Is there an anticipation that the timelines may delay such an indicator from being achieved? Then the second one, Chair, there's mentioning of the department and its safety partners, and that includes reducing the reduction of youth unemployment, which is done when the program has been completed. That is the Chrysalis program, if I think I understand that properly. And
Which
I
page
wanted
is that? Which page is that, Member Lekker?
160, I made my notes from 165, Chair. But I seem to be fumbling now because I made the notes to ask relevant questions on this. But let me come back, Chair. You've got that one of the timelines for the watching brief and information that could be accessed, ne?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Now, let me then come to a question on finances, Chair, which is still on part F, and that is page 170. That one of page 170, it talks to the amounts that are used to pay provinces and municipalities with the environments thereof. And I just want to understand in terms of our expenditure, as and when we pay an amount to a municipality for whatever function it is as part of our safety partners, if monies have not been completed with the year that it has been paid for, what then happens with the balance? And what does it mean to the intended purposes which the money was meant for? Thank you.
Just my question is on 195. It's the third-party claims. If you can check there, the third-party claims. If you can just elaborate on that, that is 5.1. HOD, over to you.
Chair, I'll hand over to the CFO. Thanks. Oh, can I just check before we go to the CFO, Becky, if you can just cover the one on the timeline for the information.
Thank you, HOD. Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, we do not foresee any challenge in relation to the timelines regarding this specific indicator, mainly because of our prior planning, but more importantly, because we have entered into a memorandum of agreement with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, such that they prepare the information that we need in advance, and they are aware when we are coming as we communicate with them. So this is to a large extent, at least for now, within our control. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair. Then I'll ask the CFO to cover the questions on the municipalities.
Thank you, HOD. Chairperson, through yourself. So when we transfer funds to municipalities and well, it's largely municipalities in this instance, it's done against a business plan. So if we allocate R1 million, there's a plan of both activity and spend that R1 million will cover. During the middle of our financial year towards August, September, Provincial Treasury runs a process to look at what has been spent on those grants that were transferred to municipalities. And if there is funding still left, then they write to the departments to the funding, the rollover requests as it was from the municipalities then gets relayed to the department for the department then to decide whether we would approve that rollover request or decline it so that they have to pay back the money. So what happens is there's then evaluation of the request against the business plan, and a decision is then made to then either approve or deny that request based on the impact then that it will have for the achievement of what was indicated in the business plan, but also what is indicated in then a consequent business plan, which the department then would also look at in terms of funding for the new financial year. Thank you, Chair. And then, oh yes, on page 195 in terms of other material losses written off. Is that the question? Sorry.
The vis major.
The vis major. The vis major, as you can see on page 195, there's a block in which it itemizes the categories of vis major, and as you can see, also the bulk of the expenditure or the cause of this category of expense was the third-party claims, which is the 113, and that relates to claims payovers to other entities, example like to SARS or SARS particularly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, members, on member Masipa and then member Lecker after that? Member Masipa first.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, through you, we had budget 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. I just want to get an indication in terms of your provinces and municipal transfers and subsidies that you have had to transfer. Was there any disruption in that regard in terms of as a result of the budget delay? Were you affected? And if you were affected, how did you manage that situation? I think that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question really relates to your budget in terms of doing what you're doing. Is your budget sufficient? Is it enough to carry out the work that you are doing? And if it's not enough, what's the ideal budget that you are looking for to carry on with your activities? Thank you.
Okay, Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I am looking at the notes in page 175, which talks to the underspending from compensation of employees and goods and services. I want to understand exactly what do we mean by goods and services. Can we get clarity? This may not be part of the questions that we need to ask, but just for information's sake, but where I'm more interested, Chair, would be around the safety promotion and police relations. I've noticed somewhere, I don't know whether it was within HR or where the number of security advisors from the department, there was a huge gap in terms of vacancies that could not be filled. And I want to ask if there is such a huge vacancy in that particular section of security advisory, what does that mean in terms of service delivery that they are meant, because they're supposed to do risk assessment, they're supposed to assist as and when there's a request, like there was a request from the George building that has collapsed. So I'm really interested in understanding as far as safety promotion, where does that take us? Because the same advisory team must also be going out when we have like our SOPAs somewhere or when we have oversight visits. So what exactly does it mean, therefore, if there's an underspending and it's in a critical position like that one? Thank you.
So page 176 as well. Over to you, HT.
75.
Thanks, Chair. So I'll hand over firstly to Gillian to cover the point on the vacancies on the security advisors. And then the CFO will respond to the questions on budget 1.0, 1.2.0. Gillian?
Thank you very much. With regards to the vacancies in the security advisory space, we have been given approval for us to fill some of those posts. So we are currently busy in that process, in the recruitment process. But at the moment, we are prioritizing in terms of the request for security risk assessments. So we are still providing support to the Western Cape government departments in that regard. With regards to the services of the security support team, I will hand over to Fred Watkins.
Fred?
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair, yes. The security support team is what the member mentioned, who goes with all the standing committee meetings, etc. And there we've got a vacancy as well, or quite a few vacancies as well. We were not able to fill any vacancies because OD Occupational was doing a investigation into the level which came from DPSA in 2019. And what they're trying to do is have all the security officers on a base level, first salary level. So until that investigation or that process is completed, we were unable to fill any posts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, through yourself, Chair, again, with regards to budget delay to provinces, there are maybe complications, not necessary complications, but there are differences because of our different financial year ends. So what happens in our instance, once our budget is approved by Cabinet and we get our vote letters from Provincial Treasury, then the transfers to provinces are gazetted. So we cannot use that funding for anything else, and we generally tell the provinces that these are the monies that is forthcoming in the period to yourself, so that they can prepare themselves, and if there is cash flow issues on their side, then they can use whatever budget they have with the assurances that province has to pay this against the business plan to them. So that is how it gets managed. And then on Member Lacker's question with regards to what is goods and services, member, if I can maybe just refer you to page 192 and look at note 4. That is what goods and services comprises. It's an economic classification in terms of how we report in our annual financial statements, but these are the elements or the general ledgers, as it was, that makes up goods and services. And I think that's it from the wish list you're going to do, actually.
I'm covered. Chair. Chair, can I just get clarity? I do not know whether the member spoke when he spoke about budget 1.0 and 2.0, and it is at the beginning of the year when we did not have a budget approved. What was the impact on us? I think we've managed that process, and Treasury really guided us through that process consistently. So it didn't have a major impact on our actual operations and the money that we needed to transfer. But it was the first time in my whole career in government that something like that happened. So we have a certain section within the PFMA that I thought will never be needed, but the people who drafted that specific piece of legislation, they had great foresight, and it came handy in this year for the very first time since our democracy.
If the member wants the wish list, he knows somebody that we don't know.
So, Chair, that is a question that we never get to ask in this section. It caught me unaware. So, Chair, if we really want to look at how do we want to roll out the safety plan, so it's about the safety plan and how do we resource the safety plan. And I think when we look at what is it that required the department, I don't think we need to look at it in context of what we want to achieve in the safety plan. The funding should come to this department. It's more a collective effort with other spheres of government and then also other government departments. So what we would ideally want in our department is to have funding to set up community forums, community development programs where we focus on community level safety and development plans. We work with the communities and implement programs. But once again, it cannot be POX programs. We will be overseeing those specific structures and establish them and provide guidance and governance support. But the initiatives need to come from the community. They need to drive it, and that will take quite a lot of money and effort in marketing. And we have not quantified that. We're working within our constraint. We like goldfish. We've got the tank, so we're just working within the tank. But if we are asked now to give a figure, we'll have to go back, and I'm sure we'll be able to do that within a week or two. But I could even say it could be a futile exercise, because the amount of money that we will require will never be made available to us. But this is, I must be honest, we've not thought about what is the ideal budget that we require, apart from the ideal budget for our compensation of employees, making sure that all our posts are funded and that our key programs are funded. But if you want to really want to think greenfields and big picture, that's going to require total different type of budgeting process and looking at what it is that we require. But not with us. We're going to have to get inputs from the other departments also as to how we take it forward.
Emma Masipa.
This is it's just a follow-up and maybe a comment, not necessarily that you need to respond, but you can respond. So primarily we are here and we've got all your programs and your targets, you have met them, and good and well. But the reality is that whatever that you measure to do, while it has been achieved, there are gaps in the community in terms of service delivery.
Correct.
And I think that's the issue that one is trying to really say, how then do we really look after those issues that are not in the program, that the program that you are achieving is not really achieving the outcomes that we need to achieve out there. It could be achieved through the devolution of police powers to the province, but it can also be achieved through the increase in terms of your funding allocation, so that you can beef up your other alternative source of strengthening the policing or strengthening the collaboration with all stakeholders in ensuring that you achieve the targeted outcomes that you have got as a department, that you have got your goals that you want to achieve. So the question really, the initial question was really based or premised on these points that I'm making. But I mean, like I said, you're welcome to answer, but you don't have to answer. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. Chairperson, I really like the question, and we will take it back and have some discussion around it. But we do realize that what we're doing is not enough. And in our recent budget or planning session, strategic discussions, the point was made that we need to resource to the point of impact. So in some cases we are resourced, but we're not making true impact in order to achieve. One of the models that we're now trying to focus on is to see if you're going to focus on one specific community. Let's take Mitchell's Plain and start putting everything in place in Mitchell's Plain with the other Swiss one. What will a model like that cost? Not only for our department, and what will be the implication for other departments? And then if you then want to scale it up, what will it cost? The key success factor for us will be we need to grow at a pace that we can sustain, so that we do not have another government intervention where we start something, big bang, and then within a year or two, we do not have funding. So we need to make sure that we grow in a manner that if we start in Mitchell's Plain, and for example, and it costs us 5 million, and we say we're going to roll it out to 20 other communities where it will cost us 100 million. Will we get to that 100 million? Will we get that 100 million? So it's more about sustainable growth, making sure that we do things responsibly and not create expectations and not being able to deliver. But I do get your point. But it's up to us now to go and just look at that and understand how will that frame our provincial safety plan, saying that what is possible and what's not possible. Thanks.
Thank you. That is those questions. We're going to conclude, and then before we conclude, no, member, your hand is not up. Where's your hand?
Check on the system, Chair.
The what?
Check on the. I thought my hand is up. I only unmuted myself and did not raise a hand. My apologies, Chair.
Okay, you can ask the question now.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I have a question, but also I want to engage the department on two issues. And one of those issues is what has been spoken to lastly on ensuring that we have sustainable systems, not necessarily to create a perception. My question, Chair, before I move to other areas and forget, was around the issue of safety partners. In the book somewhere, there's mentioning of one neighborhood watch team that has been accredited and that talks to our safety strategies within our communities and our safety partners. And that then, for me, Chair, I think if really we need to make our communities safe, or that members of the community are feeling safer, and part of those would mean the partners that we have, we should be having an appetite to increase our partnership within our communities. And if we're saying we've got 6 priority areas where we're doubling up our boots, how many safety partners or neighborhood watch teams are accredited within that community, and how many of those are outstanding? So if we have a target of 1, that means something else, and it talks in contrary to our attitude in ensuring that our communities are feeling safe. But where I want to get to, Chairperson, we continuously talk of clean audits. And I want to understand, I'm happy that the provincial minister is present. When, at what stage as legislators, as departments, are we then going to speak to a level beyond clean audit and say the services are there, we can see we're delivering the services, and there's evidence everywhere we go. There's evidence. You don't find people who are in fear when they are standing at a Somali shop that there could be extorters that may come in. So at what stage are we moving beyond clean audits? And maybe this is a conversation that must be started at the level where we're saying we have seen that your department has been receiving clean audit, but we need to move beyond, because at this stage, if the Western Cape is gauging itself as one of the so-called best provinces, when are we moving beyond that practice? Because for me to sit here, this is my 3rd term. When I live in 2029, I would have been completed 15 years in the legislature. And there was no stage where, as legislators, we're talking of such. So I'm really appealing and hoping that we're going to move beyond our politicization and say what is best for the people of the Western Cape. Is it clean audit, or it is the actual service delivery that we can see the lived-in experiences of people, the lived-in experiences that in Ramaphosa informal settlement, there's lights. In Ramaphosa informal settlement, you can access roads. So such, I'm asking, Chair, I know some of these may not be a responsibility of the department, but as far as the departments in terms of its oversight, in terms of section 206 of the Constitution, when are we going to move beyond that stage? Thank you.
Thank you. That was just, it's not, I'm not going to go into the clean audits because that's something else, but HOD Minister, you can answer the way, but the thing that I am interested in was just when you said you're doubling up, and you see the effects. So I know there was 10 areas. I think they moved it then to 11 or 12, and then they moved it back now to 6. But surely you just don't move people back because there's certain things in place in other areas. That is my thinking, because you will not leave an area unattended, but just to maybe Minister, you could just give us some, there is dividends. There is dividends. And what if we talk about reduction, what percentage are we talking about? So it's a good, because you learn, You had a big, and you said, no, the resources is too thinly spread to make a difference. And that's why you adjust as you go on. And I think that is, maybe a smart plan, and that is you learn by certain things. So I just want to throw that in, and then I'm going to give member Masipa opportunity to, because he wants to add on to that, and then we're going to conclude. And then we're going to conclude. I'm going to give the HOD opportunity and the minister, and then we will excuse the department. We'll take a little break, and then we'll come back. But let's just ask Member Masipa to add on to this, and then we'll give over to the HOD and the minister.
I'm not going to be long, Chair. I think to your point, I like it, but I think maybe what we need to look at to HOD's point, that what sustainability will look like in terms of really sustaining what you need to do to ensure that the service delivery through your office is really felt and the impact is there in the communities that we service. Thanks, Chair.
HOD?
Thanks so much. Thanks, Chair. Chair, you would see that our previous set of, we've changed the way that our indicators are in our annual performance plan. So previously we focus on specifically on our outputs. We focus on outputs, and its number of meetings, number of reports, and almost 50% of our indicators are now changed to what it is that we want to achieve, and focusing more on that. So the shift also in the safety plan, firstly in the PSP, Provincial Strategic Plan, then the safety plan, shifts to outcomes. What are the outcomes what we want to achieve? And consequently, our safety plan and our APP now look at what are the outcomes we want to achieve, but we cannot achieve it alone. Those things about that Member Lekker spoke about the infrastructure being fixed, and those, it's outside of our scope. That's all. But it's part of contributing towards a safe environment, because we're looking at integrated violence prevention, safe and secure community, and then also the effective and responsive law enforcement. But we are also now partnering with our economic development team in terms of creating jobs. So yes, the impact of this department and the role of this department is to become that strong coordinator of all of these different departments and the projects that they have to really show that we're impacting. And that's why I've made the example and I said that we're focusing on Mitchell's Plan. See, if we pull all our resources into one space, what's the difference that we make? Because we want to see the impact. And then once we've got it right there, then we move over to Nyanga, and then we move over to Khayelitsha, and then to Delft, identifying those areas, growing responsibly, implement, learn, move on, implement, learn more, and move on. So that is where we're working towards. And that is what this department will be driving going forward, making sure that we start making impact. People must feel us, people must understand, because the point was made, people do not know who police oversight and community safety is. The question is, do they have to know who we are? Or do they have to just feel that they're safe and then they live a life that's dignified? So yes, whilst I think from a political perspective, it's important that they know that our department exists. From our perspective, it's more important that they feel safe and that they feel the work that we're doing and the impact of the work that we're doing. So, Chair, we are really working towards that, and I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to invite the committee with us to one of the interventions that we have in the communities. But once again, we have a medium to long-term focus, and we want to be sustainable in that approach in getting, and to Members Lekker's point, that we make an impact in those communities.
Give the minister opportunity to close. I know that we're going to have the Liquor Authority after this, but Minister, some of the staff is going to leave, and maybe you want to say thank you, and that's why I'm going to give you opportunities to do thank yous. And Member Boyson will then thank the department for their hard work and the minister. So then we're done with the department, and then we'll take a 10-minute break. There is refreshments. What do you call it, a lounge, and then we'll come back. Some of our members are sitting from this morning already. So over to you, Minister, concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to say, we all know that effective police oversight is essential to ensuring accountability, transparency and public trust in law enforcement. And thank you for helping us to be accountable to the citizens of the Western Cape, and then for the larger South Africa in the end. And thank you to our team POX, our entities and the Standing Committee of SCOPA, and Dr. Lawrence and our AG. And then also to our acting HOD. I think this will be his last appearance before Scope 1 for POPs.
Yes, for POPs.
Right. So, but thank you so much, HOD. I'm surely going to miss you. But our new HOD will commence, if everything goes well, in January 2026. Thank you so much. And thank you to Dustin. Thank
Thank you, Minister. Member Boyson.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think today is my lucky day. It's my third or second engagement with the Minister, HOD, and the team. But Chairperson, I was quiet because with our previous engagements with the auditors and with the AG, I've learned a lot in terms of the balancing act, that the department is going through in terms of, well, you're not in charge of certain aspects, that in the hand of SEPs, but the PSS KPAs and KPIs, that is very delicate to me. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at yourselves, and I say to myself, I would never be able to do that. And you guys are doing a great job. Thank you, and thank you again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. The meeting adjourned. We'll be back at 4:15. Thank you very much. We're going to start. We've done introductions when we started, so we're not going to do introductions again. We had that apology from Mr. Simeon George, so we got that apology. I'm going to give Minister, if you want to make some opening remarks, but I'm going to give it to the chairperson also. To the chairperson, are you fine? So I'm just going to give the chairperson opportunity to do some open remarks, Mr. Grootboom, and then we will then get into the book. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honourable members. Our key focus area is to make sure that all liquor is sold within the, or that all liquor that is sold within the province happens through the regulated space. But having said that, as an authority, we would like to make sure to ensure that communities are able to play a meaningful role in the ongoing regulation and the issuing of licenses through a public participation process before such a license is granted. Hence, our strategies is to engage communities as far as it is possible. And so in this process of executing our mandate, we want to acknowledge the enablers of the WCLA who have to ensure that we execute within the parameters set. That is the Provincial Treasury for sourcing our operations, the Auditor General, who ensure that we use financial resources prudently, and of course the Custodial Department, POX, that we work with the people, for the people to reduce the harm caused by alcohol consumption through effective regulation. So we are back where we started. It's really a cyclical process. But in this process, we want to make sure that we also work towards continued growth and strategize for that to ensure that, and it's against that background that our CEO is absent today because he is engaging with the other authorities to look what are the best practices and what can we learn from one another. When it comes to the finances, Henry Ford said that he doesn't have to know everything. He'll surround him with people who know. That's why the CEO and the HOD and our financial people are here. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. I see it's Dr. Grootboom, not Mr. Grootboom, Dr. Grootboom. Thank you very much, Chairperson, for that. You must tell Mr. Simeon George that we miss him today. We're so used to him already. But members, we're going to go over to governance, and that is page 42 to 58. Members, is there any questions? Member Masipa?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I welcome the opinion remark of, sorry, I can't remember the name now. Dr. Grootboom, yeah, it's written PhD here, not, yeah. Dr. Grootboom, thank you for your opening remarks. So the questions that I have, I've got two questions, Chair. But if you don't mind, Chair, I'm going to also refer to the forward of the Chairperson. The forward of the Chairperson, line 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth one from the bottom, it talks about fund revenue collection decrease over the period, the reporting period within the context. And again, you did indicate the issues of liquor challenges and so forth. So my question is, how does this, especially this point, you know, of a fine collection, you know, feature while we're having, you know, a lot of alcohol, you know, outlets, you know, lots of them that are selling and illegally so in many areas that we are seeing it, you know. So I think that's the question as to how is that, you know, how does that really talk to one another, you know, that here on the outside we're seeing the illegal, shippings and so forth. But the fine collection is also reducing. So something maybe you need resources to police and to ensure that this collection, these fines are taking place. The second one is on page page 45 on the remuneration of board members. I think there might be some errors here, and that's how I used to read the finance here. Like we say here, Swanile Kosa, the remuneration at the top is you have got the R 000 at the end. So my taking normally is that the 8,411 will be the 8,411,000. That's how I will read it. Maybe you must just help us in that regard, as to maybe, I won't mind to serve on the board, Yeah. Thank you.
You're getting a lot of money if you read it right. Maybe just to throw also, we every time we discuss this, we always, it was said some time ago before your time, Chairperson, about the liquor authority that will be able to sustain themselves. That is an ongoing discussion. I don't know if the previous members can remember. And there, we had a discussion, and it was almost there, and not reliance on money from the department, self-sufficient, and pay for their own things. So maybe just in that, if we can just have our answer on that, and then that section. Is there any questions on that section? Is that section then covered? That section's then covered. Over to you, Dr. Grootboom.
Chair, thank you very much for that question. One of the what we did was we applied and we got the okay for liquor inspectors, but seemingly we have become our own worst enemies. Having said that, with specific reference to better regulation and executing our mandate to the best of our abilities makes that the fines become less. But when it comes to money matters, our CFO is here, and Crystal, who's our chief financial person here on the board, they will elaborate on that. Thanks.
Good afternoon, members. If maybe I may add in terms of the fine collection revenue that has declined, mainly it's starting from the peak starts from just after COVID period where there were many issues of non-compliance, and then we had fines the fines were very high. So since then we introduced we increased the inspectors from 7 with an additional 21 to 31. Hence, the number of non-compliances have declined quite significantly, which has resulted in the fine revenue coming down quite significantly. And then, in terms of the number of the illegal operators that are there, unfortunately, we are not able to find the illegal operators, as previously indicated, that we only regulate what the licensed operators. So even though they are there, they're operating illegally, those we cannot find on ourselves as they end it. And then in terms of the GP fees, that is definitely an error. That is just 8,400. Thanks for that noting that. And then and then on the sustainability of the entity, we still have a gap. Over the past years, we've only been getting increases in terms of the fees that is only linked to the CPI rate. So with the cost also increasing in line with that, so we have a gap that is our sustainability is at plus minus 90%. So there's a 10% that we'll have to we rely on the grant that we get the grant and then we collect and pay to the provincial revenue fund. But we're looking at the differentiated pricing model that is looking at ensuring the sustainability of the authority. It's one of the reasons the CEO is not here, is meeting the KZN, because they are already ahead in terms of that, just to see how are they achieving the differentiated pricing model. That's why we'll look at the fees linked to how much revenue or how much volumes are you putting out there. So that will be our main driver in terms of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I just want to throw in quickly the underachievement of your planned targets. Let me address that one now in program 3. It is about the complaints received and also the percentage of new licensed premises not inspected within 3 months. If we can just deal with that one, the underperformance of your set targets. Thank you. Chairperson, you can then direct whoever's going to answer.
Okay, Marvin, will you take that one?
Thank you, Chair. Both chairs. Just to ask, Chairperson, you're referring to, if you could just give me the indicator numbers.
It's about 3.3. What? Give me that page number quickly.
I think it's on page 29. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's 29, but I'm just looking at page 29. Definitely, I wrote it down. 29.
So it's 3.3 and then 3.5. So Chairperson, we aim to deal with all our complaints within a 2-month period. Unfortunately, some of the complaints are very detailed in nature and require us to meet with the complainant and with witnesses and in some instances, because the complainant is afraid of being outed to the community as the one being complained, that complained, it takes a bit longer for us to get those complaints resolved, but the aim is to finalize it within 2 months. In terms of 3.5, Chairperson, percentage of new licensed premises not to be inspected within 3 months. So we had an issue when we brought in this indicator. The technical indicator description said on the issue of the license, but because there's a lag in the system, that although the license is issued on the system, the licensee has 60 days within which to pay. So it's no longer, we've amended it. So in the technical indicator description, it's no longer on issue of the license, but on receipt of the payment. So that is where the discrepancy came in.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you answered that question. You answered. Members, we're moving to part E, 60 to 65. I know I move quick through the stuff. Can I move? Part F. Members, questions on part F? I'm just going to ask 2 questions, and that is page 77. That is unspent conditional grants and funds to be surrendered. That is note 9. It gives it there, but just give some explanation on that. Let's break it down. And then also page 100 at the bottom, you've increased your fines quite a bit there. If you can give us some notes, it's a big drop. It says big drop of fines mean compliance. It means compliance or less inspectors inspecting the facilities, the premises. So there's a massive drop in your fines. So is it more compliance or is it less inspecting of premises? I'm going to give you that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I will ask our CFO to respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. In relation to the unspent conditional grant, this is the grant we received from the department. Firstly, there was included in that grant, there was an amount of 4.4 million for the construction of a walking center. We had delays around the development of that. And as a result, we only awarded just at year end. So that amount was committed at year end, but it was not spent. Hence, we resubmitted the proof of the commitment that of the commitments to reapply for it. We're busy with that project. And then a balance of it was as a result of, we had some delays in terms of the structure, the approval of the structure, and hence the appointment of mainly the 2 executive directors. So as a result, we had some funds that were budgeted for that were not spent. So we reallocated those funds to other areas. Mainly, we bought some new laptops. Also, those were just awarded at year end. Hence, the money at year end was committed, but it was not actually spent at that time. So that was mostly an under expenditure, but the money, the funds were committed. And then we submitted proof of that and we applied for the rollover of those funds. And then in terms of fines, that is, so this is the receivables from fines, the amount that the debtors coming from the fines that have been raised. In line with the decline in the revenue from fines, the debtors associated with it, that is the people who owes us, also declined. We've also increased the provision where you say that because they've been long outstanding, some of the fines, the provision, that is the amount that you say that the chances of us being able to actually receive it are low. We increased that, hence what is receivable to us, that we're saying that we almost certain that we will get that money has come down quite significantly. Thank you, Chair.
Member Masipa, I'm not very clear on that answer, but I'll maybe have a follow-up on that. But Member Masipa, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I also got a bit confused there, but my question relates to page 78. There's other income that increased from 2024 to 2025. That's note 16. In the note, it says that the other income includes profit on sale of assets and other operating income. So that kind of offset the challenges that you had in 2024, where you had other income was less, and obviously with your fines and penalties reduced in the 2025 financial year, so it kind of offset that. So you still have the equivalent income that you had in the previous year. So the question is, what is this other income and how sustainable it is going forward? The one on note 16.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, we work to Doctor, and then he will direct. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. The other income relates to, we have a number of some payments that are made by sometimes the people that are intending to apply, but they never follow up with that process. So if you see in the note, it's stated there, it's other operating income relates to long outstanding unallocated deposits that have been, so we've applied the prescription law because they've been outstanding for more than 3 years, some of them almost 6 years. So we recognize that as into our income, as income in our financial statement. So we do not expect that to happen again going forward. It was sort of a once off. Then in the coming years, maybe it will be very minimal, that amount. Thank you, Chair.
On the question of the fines, I will ask Mr. Abdul to respond to that one. Thank you.
Sorry, thanks, Chairperson. So I think that the issue here is twofold. One, there has been more compliance as a result of the increased activity in the inspectorate unit. So there has been more compliance, not less inspections. But when one then also looks at the note, as Kulisma had indicated, the revenue from fines has decreased, but on page 101, you will see that we've increased the provision for impairment. So we were not likely to receive 2.1 million rand of fines that had been levied in the past. And on that basis, we reduced the amounts owing to the entity. Hence 307,000. Thank you. I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Can I just get an explanation quickly? Page 60 at the bottom, you have an explanation here about the irregular expenditure under assessment.
A contract when it's a contract for contract for insurance services that we entered into, I think just when we moved out of the department some years back. But I think that contract expired, but we continued using these services. So as we were going through our books in the current financial year, we noted that this contract, we do not have a valid contract for this. So we recognized it as irregular expenditure, but at the same time, we're not able to go back as far back as when it started. So it was still under assessment at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Members, no other questions? There's no other questions. We're going to call it. There's no. I'm not going to give. There's no hands online, so we're going to conclude, and we're going to do the thank you. So we're going to ask. I don't want to say chairperson because that's why I say Dr. Grootboom will do some concluding remarks, and Minister, you can do some concluding remarks. You don't want to, okay? Wait quickly, Doctor. And then, Doctor, I always give some members of the committee the closing remarks. So I see Member Masipa smiling, so you want to do the closing. So I'm going to give you opportunity, and then Member Masipa, and then the committee will then just stay behind for some admin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members who are present. It is always a pleasure to I nearly said to do business, but to give an account of the prudent use of finances and resources allocated to the unit, and we try to stay within compliance and make sure that in doing that we the question by the previous member, we make sure that we work for the people, and thank you for that opportunity to be able to come and give account in front of this esteemed committee. Thank you.
Members, I can give to you now, but it's and maybe the members will agree. It's so easy, and people understand when there's compliance and there's clean audits. It's so easy to do your job. There's record of everything. So you're doing the basics right. The compliance part you're doing right, and that is about clean audits. So at least we have books and we can see what's happening. So I mean, you guys can be proud of what you're busy doing. Remember, Masipa?
Thank you, Chairperson. I always say that the engine room of Parliament is committees, and SCOPA is one of those, engine of the S3 and of that at that level. So really, I really want to say thank you for availing yourself to be interrogated by SCOPA. I understand that you spent 5 hours earlier, so I decided to just slow down a little bit now, because I realized that you have been here 5 hours earlier. But really, thank you for availing yourself to be interrogated and really be honest and give us the answers that we need. And we're looking forward to working together. And like the chair said, that, clean audit is very important. It really shows where the money is going. And I just want to also thank the AG for really making time to really listen to our deliberation. And I'm sure he is going to report that Western Cape is really doing its work. And we interrogate the department. We make sure that we follow the money. And Minister, thank you. And to the HOD as well, thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
Thank you very much,
Chairperson, and thank you, Dustin, and the procedural.
And the people in the gallery, thank them also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All in the gallery, and Pat Legger, thank you.
Got so many qualifications, I don't know where to start, but okay. One day he gave a letter to me with all his qualifications. So he said it's the IT, but I think he put it up. So over to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go later. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Members, through you, Chair. Chair, there was just, I must still conceptualize these resolutions, Chair. The first resolution was from Member Masipa that asked about the limited ability of the department to influence the allocation of policing ratio, and including the assurance question that Member Masipa. I must just listen to the audio to just get a summary of that assurance, Chair, because the department indicated that they're going to come back, go and meet on it and come back to the to the committee on that, Chair. So perhaps a briefing on that matter, Chair.
No, there is this always when I get the resolution request that we need to do resolution, they say it must be smart, specific, and measurable and time bound. So I think this is something that they are going to look at, and we cannot have a time bound. It might not be that specific enough. I'm just thinking it's just something that, maybe, a follow through written questions and so forth, that will be better rather than briefing. But maybe on a written question, I'll recommend that.
Thank you for that, Honourable Member. Thank you, Chair, for that. And then Chairperson is basically where the department indicated that they want to invite us on a community intervention visit that is hosted by them in terms of seeing how they interact with the neighborhood watches and the safety partners and stuff like that, Chair. But that can be sorted out during next year, Chair.
Yeah.
Just see how the committee will then do
Maybe
that.
we can join with the standing committee.
There we go.
We do it together.
There we go, Chair. Chair, otherwise, there was nothing else, Chair. Unless you wanted a briefing on the program 3, those 2 indicators.
No, I don't think so. No, I think that it's fine. It's all right to know. We park it there.
Covered with that.
I think the indicators is covered. I think it's covered. I think they've amended it not to make the same mistake. So that is fine. I don't think we need a briefing on that. But members, that's the end of a meeting. Member Johnson looks extremely tired. So I didn't want him to do the closing because he looks tired. So I left it. So members, that's the end of our meeting. Have a good evening.